and thank you for joining us today. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America, and our guest today is the incredible visual artist Chester Higgins Jr., who from 1975 to 2014, almost 40 years, was a celebrated photojournalist for the New York Times. These days, his work is hung in art galleries and museums around the world. He is using his brilliant skills to explore subjects like the spirit. And one of his latest books is the gorgeous Ancient Nubia, African Kingdoms on the Nile. And thanks so much, Chester, for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Used to, of course, see you on the streets and those breaking news stories where...
Well, yes. I'm glad. At my age, I'm glad those things are over with.
I know those days. So the difference, you're happy to be a visual artist as opposed to a breaking news photojournalist?
Absolutely. It's a lot more relaxing, and and I have more time to think. And that's the important thing.
And the things that you're thinking about, the spirit. We're going to show some pictures in a bit, but how did you come to this?
Well, in my childhood, I'm from a little country town of 800 people, and I had the, I don't know what you would call it, but at 9, I had a vision that my grandfather interpreted as a call to the ministry, which led me down this whole path of being comfortable with the Bible, things that are dead, things that are dying, and seeing things in a continuum. And so I guess that made me just more comfortable with the things that we see and the things that we don't see. And over time, that became, with the camera, I was able then to take that a step further and try to see if photographically there was a way to incorporate what I see and what I don't see, what is behind everything. Right. But not in a scary kind of way. But
sure, no, the images that you produce are just, as always, just gorgeous, and things that, people would not see if you didn't show them.
Thank you.
So that is now you talk about this town of 800, where Alabama,
right.
And
in the corner, southeast corner, Alabama.
Right.
We call it the Wiregrass area. It's where Georgia, Florida, and Alabama come together.
Right.
And a town of 800 people, where everybody knew everybody, and where we had several churches. Because in such a small town with such a small population, if you had 4 churches, that meant that all churches had to close for one church to be open. So people would go from each Sunday was a different church, so you made that circuit.
Right.
And you got a chance to meet all the people in those different congregations. It was and dirt roads until the pavement came. I'm of that generation that, television, who saw television come in. There was old telephones where you ring the...
yeah, I remember that.
So, but I found it a very great place. Obviously, that was my lot, but it was a very good lot because not only did you have the schooling in the fall, but in the summer, being an agricultural town where everybody grew peanuts or cotton, all kinds of plants were growing. So, my grandmother had a pear tree, we had strawberries, blackberries, cherry trees.
We were talking that's my background too. Alabama, we had a huge pecan tree.
Yes, pecan trees. And did you have muscadine vines?
Yes, we grew cotton.
Right, so
all the sweet potatoes and all of that. So the farming life. So now. It's a big leap for both of us, actually, from that Alabama soil to New York City. So how did that happen? You had this vision, or your grandfather determined that you had a vision.
My grandfather determined I had this vision, and I kept true to that until I left for Tuskegee.
So you attended Tuskegee?
I went to Tuskegee, and I refused to tell anyone that I had been a minister. Because I wanted to sort of not being a minister.
So you were actually preaching?
Yes.
At 9, 10, 11? Really?
And what happens is that people treat you as an adult or as a distinguished figure, which is fine, but I wanted to sort of step out of that and just be, I didn't discover till decades later in therapy that what I really missed was the teenagehood. I can't get it back, but being at Tuskegee and consciously stepping away from that, allow myself to just see life and participate in life, I didn't change as a person. It's just that I I opened myself up to other things. It didn't mean that I, became a cursor or a drinker or those kind of things. It just meant that
Sure.
this was just another vantage point that I had. But at Tuskegee, I became interested, even though my major was business management, because of it, I got to know this photographer, P.H. Polk.
P.H. Polk, right. For
P.H.
50 years, right? The photographer at Tuskegee.
He's a great guy.
Right.
He made photographs of all of the faculty, administrators,
I've
students.
seen a lot of those. Extraordinary.
Extraordinary images.
And he shot you too, right?
Well, he shot me, but he shot me. Actually, he shot me with two different girlfriends at two different times. But what really struck me is I had to go to his house once to pick up photographs for the student newspaper, and he has all these hundreds of pictures around. But I noticed some pictures that he had hidden almost behind these curtains, and these pictures were of very dignified country people, dressed in their overalls or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, tell me about these pictures, because when I saw these pictures, it reminded me of the two people I loved most in my life, my great-uncle Foth and his sister, my great-aunt Shug. And I'd never seen a picture of them. Well, photography was expensive. The only picture they had in their house was this picture of Jesus Christ, in Gethsemane Garden, or the Farmer's Almanac. And I decided before they died, I wanted them to have a picture of themselves. And the only way I could do that, being on a student budget, I could not hire Mr. Polk to go that south to make these pictures. Ask him if he would teach me. So after a year of learning and a new camera with a light meter, I went home to make these pictures, and then I came back a week or two later to give them prints of themselves.
Unbelievable. What a story. What a story. And so that you graduated from Tuskegee, you had these lessons from this wonderful photographer, and you came to New York trying to become a photographer in New York City. And you had some mentors here. Tell us a little.
I was fortunate enough to meet Arthur Rothstein at Look magazine. And I came to his office, I came to his office to see his picture editor. And it was just fortuitous that while we were finishing up, this bald-headed man stuck his head in the door and to give the picture editor a task, and he said, well, who is this guy? So he tells him, he said, well, send him to my office. So I went into his office and I said, well, I'm from Alabama, and there's no way to learn photography, so I came here because you guys see all the great photographers. Can you look at my work and tell me, I'm not looking for a job either, but can you look at my work and tell me what is it, the gap that I need to learn? So he started looking at my pictures, and he did something strange I'd never seen before. He took a print, and he took 4 pieces of paper, and he started moving them around, and he says, come, look. He said, here's your picture. And I looked at what he had left open, and it was incredible. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, this is called cropping. He said, give me another one, and another one. So this sort of thing went on the whole summer. I went back to him, photographing and trying to see if what his criticisms that I was learning from him, if I was able to really incorporate it in my seeing. So that turned out to be the best summer of my life.
Right. And then, of course, you got the job at the New York Times, and you still had some mentors. I want to talk about Gordon Parks and Romy Bearden, but I want to take a look at some of your photographs now. You sent us some slides. Let's put them up, and then I'd love to hear the story of.
This is from the Highlands of Ethiopia. People have a lot of images in their mind about Ethiopia, but which are very narrow. But here you get a chance to see the highlands. It's a country of highlands and lowlands. Highlands that go up to 12, 15,000 feet. The lowlands are the deserts. But I just thought just this expanse, looking over God's country, was incredible.
And the next photograph, that is beautiful.
This is Ethiopian Jews. The Europeans call it shofar, but they have another word for it, like maskedana or something. This is and using that Ethiopian cloth. I just thought it was really a way of showing it.
And the next one?
This is in Egypt, on the border of Nubian Egypt in the old days. This is Abu Simbel. These are the four sitting statues of Ramses the Great. It's a huge temple that goes back about 150 feet inside that particular mountain. And these statues are so tall that I think that a person would be by the height of the ear.
Oh my goodness, my goodness.
And at morning, when the sunrise come off of Lake Nasser, just for maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, this whole mountain turns red. It's an incredible sight to see.
Right, right. Now, I noticed that you're black and white. I mean, the detail that you've elicited in this photograph is just amazing.
Thank you.
But the decision to shoot black and white, as opposed, well, I know you do color as well, but
I do black and I prefer black and white because I think it has more drama. But when I shifted from film, even color film, into digital, digital gives me a full color file, but sometimes I like to extract the color because I think the black and white, it gives more drama. And I shoot color with a black and white sensibility of design and composition, so it transfers very easily.
right. So that difference in the evolution of your career from the old developing the film now to you're working in digital and it's instantly there. How did that change your work?
Well,
your approach to it.
It did. Well, what it did in the old days, when we were doing black and white, and you have to process it. If you wanted to study things like how light falls on things, or the situation itself, we had to shoot Polaroids. Digital allows you now to have that instant Polaroid, so you don't have to change the backs. You can see right away what you're doing. You can blow it up. You can play with it. So in a way, it has speeded the process. I guess if you have creative ideas, that's very good. If you don't have creative ideas, you're just wasting, stuff.
Exactly. Well, speaking of creativity, what did you learn from Gordon Parks?
Well, Gordon helped me. I came to Gordon talking about where I thought I was coming from socially, politically, photographically. And Gordon was able to help me feel that all of those things that you're feeling are the right things to feel, and don't let anyone else deter you from it. Just keep mining it. Gordon was the kind of person, by example, who mined his own consciousness and subconsciousness. Gordon would...
the essential Renaissance man who could do anything, actually.
He could do anything because he had faith in himself. He authorized himself. And I think that's the lesson, my takeaway from Gordon, is that your authorization of yourself is enough, given where I was coming from. And Gordon says, consume the best of any art form. Go to the best theaters, see the best plays, go to see the best exhibitions, the best music, but immerse yourself in the best of all that art has to give you, because then that becomes the fertilizer for your own art. And he would say, in the evenings, he would disappear down into the well of his unconscious. It's like a miner, mining down deep and bringing things up. And he will then find nuggets of this and that, and he will percolate on those nuggets, and then in the light of day, those nuggets will become full blown.
But giving authority to yourself to become the genius you are. I mean, so many people, you're described as a genius, as was he, as Romy Bearden. What did you learn from the wonderful artists? I knew both of these men who are heroes of mine. But what did you learn?
What I learned from Romy is interesting. Romy is a painter, but what I learned from Romy, the greatest thing I learned from Romy was the quality of light.
Of light.
Of light. Because Romy would hold these Saturday mornings sessions for artists. He would hold court. And you would get an appointment, and for an hour you go and say what you're doing, show him what you're talking about. And with me, Romy would go up and invariably go up and take his ladder and go across his library, and he would pull out the Dutch painters. And he would show me how the painter has used window light, or how light but it's all natural light, because I was doing natural light. And he would say, well, as a painter, I can put light wherever I want. Any painter can put light wherever they want. But there are some painters who have used the natural light and made it work for them in such brilliant ways. And he wanted me to understand their work, Caravaggio, Rembrandt, what have you, so that I could see that the touch of light. That's why now I say light is my mistress. It's all because of Romy. Because there's a quality of light, there's a paying attention to light, is looking how light becomes a friend, looking how light is always an active component, and how to make that light work for you.
Okay, let's take a look at some more of your pictures and, see what we...
So here's a perfect example.
Absolutely the perfect example.
I mean, it deals with a lot of issues, but light is what is defining this room of these men who use this bar, who, and also captures a certain kind of loneliness within themselves, as well as their togetherness in this particular space.
Oh, it's extraordinary. All of the detail up in the
silhouettes to everything. It's not. And you don't have to see everybody's face.
Right. How long ago did you take this picture?
I think that was probably in 74.
74?
Yeah.
Ah,
when there was a time in my life I would just run up to Harlem early in the mornings and just, when Harlem is waking up, and just see the first 3 or 4 hours of the day and how people spend it, and just pop into different places.
Right. Well, that's the way to do it. And next, let's...
Now
this is your spiritual... This is the actual real thing.
This is Ramses the Great himself.
3,000 years
sleeping.
Old.
3,000 years sleeping.
Oh my goodness. And how did this picture come about?
Well, this is at the Cairo Museum. First of all, after photography, my passion is Egyptology. And this is at the Cairo Museum. I was working with a BBC film crew who were doing a series of films for the Discovery Channel, and was my Egyptology mentor, Dr. Bob Breyer, who was a friend of Roscoe's Brown,
right,
who was doing a thing on the great pharaohs of Egypt. And for that, we went to photograph some of the mummies, and this was Ramses, a great mummy. In photographing dead things, I try to find a way not to be gory, and most people will photograph Ramses from the side or from the feet. And I thought, for me, with the lighting at this particular way, that was more effective.
Extraordinary, extraordinary. Next, it's
and
this is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, thank you, thank you. This is my signature image, the Muslim woman. A lot of people think that this is in some far-off country, but this is in Brooklyn.
Really?
Yes, it was in Brooklyn. One day we were walking out of the house, and I saw this family coming down the street, and there was something about the woman's spirit that was so exceptional. And I convinced him to let me make a picture of them, and she and her son and her husband. And I just loved their positive and negative space, but more importantly, to me, I think the eyes are the windows into the soul, and her demeanor, her spirit was just so calming yet very deep. That I wanted to just be able to capture that. And
this is a masterpiece.
Thank you.
Masterpiece.
Thank you.
Next, right?
And here are women who are having this early sunrise dance at the Atlantic Ocean in a program called Ma'afa, where there are many churches now who are saying that we have to, in order for us to de-victimize ourselves about the period of enslavement, we have to ritually internalize it, come face to face with it, and then take it to the ocean, take it back to the Atlantic Ocean. And this is the ending of that ceremony.
To take it back into the Atlantic Ocean, to send it back to...
To send those spirits back, to say we're washing ourselves of this. We have to accept what we are, but we cannot, we're limited in addressing our living here now and doing well if we remain victims. We have to be able to get rid of the victimology and take full responsibility for where we stand now and try to move with that.
And next?
And this is a country road in Barber County. This is a road driving back between my hometown and Tuskegee.
Right.
And one day I was coming, and then all these birds began to fly in front of my car, and I just, Just something spiritually
Right,
about that I just loved, and I just always. And then you see for a farmer daughter, you see the cornfields behind you.
Yes.
But
Right, exactly. So that, do you go back to Alabama?
I go back every couple of years. I have still relatives there. My sister, who's a research nurse in Montgomery, and a brother who's a welder in New Brockton, and cousins and cousins.
Right. But you've been going to Africa every single year since 1973. 73.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, I find that's cheaper than therapy.
Well, it would be a nice combination if you had a therapist, with you traveling through.
No, then I have to listen to the therapist.
But this new book that you have, Ancient Nubia.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't know where is that. I know Sudan and Egypt, but explain to us what.
Well, along the River Nile, you have these great African empires, and the most outstanding were the Nubian Empire and the Egyptian Empire. And the Nubian Empire began at southern Egypt, at Aswan, and went all the way down to past Merowe, I guess north of what would be now Khartoum. Mm-hmm. And left behind in the wake of these are all these great antiquity sites. So you have temples, tombs, and pyramids. Now, Nubia...
And this is going back, 2000 BC or more, right?
2000 BC and more. The things that are in situ in Nubia will go back at least 2000 BC. Mm-hmm. In Egypt, things can go back another 1,000 years, 3000 BC. And that, not to say that there are other things that would be older, but the stone structures that are left behind, that's what they are. Mm-hmm. And I've just been fascinated with this history because, as you say, we don't know much about it. But the evidence left behind in stone suggests that there's a bigger story than what we know. So I spent 3 seasons of working in Sudan, compared to my 20 seasons of working in Egypt. But before I do my trips, I do a year of research to find out what's there, where is it located, what's the best time of year to go and try to photograph it, and what's the best team to assemble when I get on ground to work with me. And I've done an awful lot of work, and this book, Ancient Nubia, actually pulls from that archive. I've been doing this work because I'm interested in telling a much fuller story about religion and how the Nile River has been the #1 corridor for the development of spirituality and religion that has now gone across the world, where spirituality began 6,000 feet above sea level in Ethiopia and came down the Nile Trench into Nubia and Sudan, and then, in Nubia and Egypt, and then after thousands of years, started a reverse course of Abrahamic faith, of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, that then went back up to Ethiopia.
Well, your research goes deep. Let's take a look at a few more pictures, because I think that you've just created for us a completely new view of the entire world. Here, what is?
And here you have a woman doing her salat, an Islamic woman, where they look into the hands and they make their prayers, obey their obligations to Allah. Just like Christians, we pull our hands together to make our obligations, and I forget. And then the Jewish people do dabbling. Mm-hmm. So everybody has a way of trying to make how to physicalize your ritual, so that it puts you in tune with what you consider to be your divine order.
One more photograph. I could look forever because they're so. I'm so glad. Right.
This is what I do now.
Yes, this is your leaf work.
My leafscapes. I'm really attracted to. This is about the spirit, because I believe that coming from the mummies, you see the residue of the spirit in things, that even after they're dead and gone. I even shot the African burial ground because of the same thing. So now I look at dead leaves, and when they speak to me in a certain kind of way, then I spend time and I work and I photograph them, and this is what that's looking like.
Just incredible. Thank you so much for bringing all of these images, and I cannot say to our audience strongly enough that they need to look at your work and to think about the spirituality and your research. We always finish our show by asking our guests to finish the statement, the strength, the power of Black America lies in. How would you?
It lies in our creativity, our ingenuity, and our resilience against all odds that are thrown at us.
Resilience. And in terms of your search for spirituality, you're finding it and photographing it?
I find it and photograph it because my sense is that I'm looking for what I call the signature of the Spirit in everything. See, I'm one of those people who believe that everything exists at the pleasure of the Spirit. Our egos see, our flesh and our form of what is around us. But what allows those forms to exist is the structure behind it, the spiritual structure behind it.
Well,
so in my pictures, I try to capture both of those things.
And I think you succeed very well in that. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Chester Higgins, Jr. Genius.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you all for being with us today, too. You can see an exhibit of Chester Higgins' work at the Sugar Hill Museum of Art and Storytelling. It's called Passing Through. It's at 155th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue in Harlem, and it's there until August of 2017. And so many thanks for joining us. We will see you the next time. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America.